What's up, guys? Chris Brown, otherwise known as Chain Stasis Wellness, coming at you with another wellness moment. This week, I want to talk to you guys about some bad words. No, not the regular four-letter words you might be used to, but I want to specifically talk about words and phrases that are used in the fitness and wellness and nutrition industry that are probably really well-meaning, but end up doing more harm than good in today's age. If there's one thing that holds true about our industry, or my industry, is that we love our heuristics, we love our one-liners, and we love words that carry meaning. We think we're being inspirational, we think we're helping people, and we think we're making it simple. We also have some of the highest levels of psychological disorders, many of which people might think of as healthy disorders. From anorexia to bulimia to drug abuse. We talked about PEDs recently, or performance-enhancing drugs, and body dysmorphia, disordered eating, things that may end up making you look a little better, but don't make you healthier. And sometimes these people are given praise for the way they look, and they think what they're doing is good, so it reinforces these bad emotions, these bad psychological issues, right? And while it's more complicated than this, we can help other fitness professionals and each other, whether or not you're in the industry, by aspiring to take and make it healthier. Take these first steps and address the fact that these words and phrases can be destructive, and maybe try to figure out how to turn them around to make them better. The first one I want to talk about is cheat meals. We use this word cheat often when we talk about things in nutrition and in every aspect of wellness as well. We like to say a cheat meal specifically as a time to have food or drinks or whatever that are not on our plan. And our plan is probably one that's very healthy, it's perfect, it's organized, it's got a direct route you're going on. Oftentimes people will measure out macronutrients, protein, carb, and fats. Sometimes people will even measure out exact calorie counts, or what they think is exact calorie counts, and they'll take it a little too far. But it works for many people. So they keep at it, and they keep it really strict and rigid. Usually this is for people trying to lose weight or body fat. They're trying to gain muscle mass. Maybe they're trying to get stronger, specifically for a sport or an event. Maybe they're just trying to look good for a photo shoot or something like that. But they have to be rigid for a period of time to really hit that specific high-level goal. So they don't have any processed food, they don't have any junk food, they don't have any alcohol, et cetera, et cetera. And people think of this cheat meal as a solution to that kind of pressure that builds up, that urge and drive to eat that highly palatable food that's probably not good for you. So people think of this cheat meal or this window of time where you can eat whatever you want as a solution to release that pressure valve. But it doesn't really end up being what we want it to be. Sometimes people can last a long time going with this type of eating, where they have a cheat meal or a cheat day, and it works very well for them for a little while. But the notion that you earned a meal lends itself to an association with restriction, suffering, and borderline self-flagellation being positive. That it's a good thing to feel this way about food. And when you see results via that, you tend to, or others compliment you via that, you tend to get to the point where you think that is the only way I can get what I had before. I have to do it this way. And you have this positive association with these negative things. Food and exercise and all that stuff, they shouldn't be good or bad so much as it should be what is working for me right now and why. And that's usually the problem, is we kind of don't think about the why, or we don't think about the bigger picture of where this is leading to me to later. We just think, I got to my competition, I looked great, I did my photo shoot, I looked awesome, people respected me for it, people complimented me for it, and so I want to keep doing this. But then we don't get to what happens when we don't have that, or where do we go from here? So many bodybuilders and fitness models and bikini models even, they struggle with that eventually when they no longer have that guidance. Oftentimes you'll see this with collegiate athletes after they graduate and they don't have a sport anymore, and they lose that rigidity of someone telling them where to go, what to do, and how to do it. And the same with their food nutrition specifically. Many colleges have nutritionists for your team, right? So what we can do as a solution to this is try saying that you're going to allow more variety for your day, not specifically that you're going to have bad foods, right? So you don't need to eat the chili cheese dog or the nachos or these ridiculous foods that you probably wouldn't want all that much were you not restricting yourself. You wouldn't be thinking about it all the time, right? You just say, I'm going to allow myself to eat something I wouldn't normally eat. I'm not going to pay attention to how many calories are in it. I'm not going to worry, like, am I getting enough protein in this meal? You're just going to stop thinking so much. You have to accept when you're going on a wellness journey or anything that's for your health is that it will be difficult at times. It's not going to be easy, and that's okay. You don't have to think of it as this battle of good versus evil. Plan days to relax your restrictions in a more controlled environment. For instance, instead of going to a Buffalo Wild Wings where you're going to have every little thing that you shouldn't be eating in front of your face all at once, where you can't restrict yourself at all, have something at your house and sit down with your significant other or your family and eat a portioned out meal that is something different. It's more exciting to you. It feels more pleasurable. You can still have a social aspect to your eating. It can still be fun. I know a lot of people poo-poo on eating being fun, but human beings, we're very socially driven, and eating is a social activity for many of us. So don't call it a cheat meal. Just call it a time where you're letting go of restrictions. You're being less rigid, and that will disassociate that mental good versus evil thought in your head, or good versus bad. Because food, it's not good or bad. It's just food. All right. So what's another word? Fat. Fat is a word that carries a lot of meaning. It's a very impactful word. Some people think of fat when they hear it. They think of adipose tissue or the subcutaneous fat that's actually on our body. That's the fat you see, and what most people think about when they think of body fat. They think of the big portly individual who probably isn't very rigid with their diet. They don't think about it too much, and they allow themselves indulgences every single day. Many people, obviously, they think of the negative associations with this. They think of heart disease. They think of diabetes. They think of unattractiveness. They think of not being able to fit into certain clothing. A lot of negative associations. Maybe they start to think of any other number of negative issues, or somebody they know that passed away in their family they loved that looked that way. Or some people think of the word derisively, and they scorn people that they see that look this way, and so they don't want to also be that way because they might be a hypocrite, or also they feared that someone might treat them the way they treated that person, right? So there's a lot of negativity surrounding that word. And that negativity can translate in how you view or treat others that aren't in the ideal, or how you deem the ideal body shape. So while these people are not what you would see as optimal health-wise, it doesn't mean they deserve that type of treatment and that type of thought. And whether or not we're trying to be that way, in the back of our head, every time we talk and use these words, we're thinking that, and it's building, and we may be prejudiced even in the smallest little bit against those people. So we want to try to be more specific. Here's the solution. When you talk about fat, you should specify dietary fat. You should say things like subcutaneous fat, body fat, or adipose tissue. And when you talk about it in a more scientific, logical way to people, especially those you deem might have a problem with it, then they're going to be less likely to get upset by it. And they're going to stop associating it with the social implications as much. So I try not to say people are fat or call somebody fat, even if I'm saying it in a very clinical sounding way. I don't say, hey, you need to lose fat. I try to say, we need to improve your body composition for this goal. You need to attach it to a goal, right? If you attach it to a goal and make it very much like point A to point B, and this is how we get there, it's going to stop being such a social thing. It's going to stop being super emotional. And that's a good thing, because we really shouldn't be judging each other based on this. We should just be working towards a goal together. And if you use these terms better, then it's going to have less of a negative association And you're going to stop thinking that way in the back of your head as much. And other people, hopefully, hearing you speak this way, will start to emulate you. And it'll just be better for everybody. What's another one? Well, when we label things as good versus bad, this is kind of a cheat one. Back to that word cheat, right? I said good versus bad fats or good versus bad carbohydrates, but this translates even to training. A lot of people label this as good versus bad. In the fitness world, you'll hear like Smith machines. They're the squat rack kind of things on a guide rod. A lot of people will be like, that's just a bad machine. It's useless. It's garbage. Most gyms shouldn't even have it. And you hear that about a lot of things. So we label things as good or bad. We love that in our industry. And maybe that's clickbaity. Maybe that's where our world is now. But when we label types of fats, carbohydrates, proteins, exercises, even types of training as good or bad, these words are inherently linked to morality, like I said earlier, right? Good versus bad or good versus evil. And that's not a good thing. Back to good or bad, right? I've heard people say like all runners are weak, or CrossFitters are all idiots, or powerlifters have no cardiovascular activity. They can't move. They're not agile. All saturated fat's bad. All carbs that are of this type are bad. And they hardly ever give examples. They hardly ever get into it or tell you why, right? And when you link these to good or bad, or you link yourself to eating or exercising in this way, you start to limit your way of thinking, right? Because no longer are you just eating that way. You're trying to impose like this is good, and if I do this, I'm a good person, or I'm doing things the right way. And then you're not challenging whether or not it's the right way for your goal. You're just doing the same thing, believing that you're better for it. And then you're telling others that you're not as good because of it, right? When you demonize something by attaching morality to it, you can more easily dismiss any merits the other side of an argument or an exercise or anything has. This encourages tribalism, the thought of being the same with other people, which isn't always bad. Same thing with nationalism. It's not always bad to be proud of where you come from or who you are, but it can lead to a lot of destructive and negative behaviors to the other tribes, the other nations, etc. Oh, you don't eat paleo? You must be garbage. Oh, you don't do CrossFit? Oh, do you even lift, bro? You hear that one all the time. Do you even lift, bro? Yeah, and those things are silly, of course, but that's the way humans are. We love to attach ourselves to that. So generally speaking, I think this mode is very limiting to the way you think, and it can be very damaging as well. So what's the solution to that? Well, searching for the good in something you might think is inherently bad. It helps you think, and it helps expand how you view things. So instead of labeling things good or bad, get that clickbait crap out of here. Start to think about, hey, why would being a vegetarian be good? Why would it be bad? Why would CrossFit be good? Why is it bad? Show me why saturated fat's bad for me, because it really isn't, but it can be if it's processed, right? And if we always ask why and figure out how and be like, what's the best part of this? Or what's the worst part of this? And throw away the worst part, then we're going to grow together. We're not going to fight and just group up and then fight in a group, right? That's not useful. So try to identify what's specifically useful about each item and figure out how this works towards your goal. We're always coming back to the goal, right? And throw away what's not useful. That doesn't mean what you threw away is evil or bad. It just means you didn't need it for your goal. Generally speaking, with food though, if it's processed, heavily processed, changed, or modified from its original form, it's probably not going to be useful for most healthy goals. That being said, I'm not saying it's not always good. I'm not saying you can't eat sugar to help you put on muscle mass. You can, totally. Moving on. The last one I want to talk about is the word snack. Now, this is a huge one. When you think of the word snack, you probably think of chips, crackers, popcorn, etc. It's, for whatever reason, the word's evolved to mean highly processed, highly palatable, foods that are quick and easy to get. That's a snack to most people. You may not think that way, but a lot of people do, and namely kids do. They're being raised in that way, unfortunately. I actually turned on the radio for once recently. I never do this because I usually listen to podcasts, right? But I turned it on, and the first thing I heard was Honey Nut Cheerios, great for your heart. I'm talking to my doctor, and it's great for my heart, and it's delicious. And that is a bunch of poop. That's not true at all. It's actually quite the opposite. Almost all cereals are bad for you, and they're definitely not heart healthy. I don't care how much fiber they shove in there, it's not helping you. And then right after that, they talk about Wendy's. Oh, the best breakfast you can start your day off with. It's on a croissant and blah, blah, blah. Of course it's not good for you. It's on a croissant. It's super duper processed. It's not good for you. So we're being bombarded with these like quick foods, these snacks, and we think snacks are healthy. But snacks and what we should be thinking of snacks are not the same thing. We're constantly bombarded with conflicting information, misleading information, and just downright harmful information. Sometimes this even comes from our doctors or our nurses because they don't know better. And unfortunately, we just take that to heart. So what's the solution, right? What's the solution to the word snack? Well, how about we like to say treats or special treats? That's what I'd say with my kid. I say, this is a snack, this apple, this piece of fruit, or this, smaller meal. This is a treat. You can still have it once in a while, but it's special. It's unique. It's not a daily thing. It may not even be a weekly thing. It's okay to have it. You're not bad for having it. It's not inherently evil to eat ice cream, but you shouldn't be eating it all the time. You shouldn't have it in your house all the time. You should have to actually go out and get it, make it into an enjoyable experience by going there, maybe make it into a good memory with your kid. But it is not normal. It's special. It's different. It's unique, right? Stop using the word snack to define junk food, okay? Because then we think of, oh, this is quick and easy. This is what I should pack for my day because it's a snack. No. Find things that are good for you that you can put in smaller portions and are portable. So special treat versus snack, I like to differentiate those two, okay? So at the end of the day, all these things, they always come back to what do people want in life? Generally speaking, almost everyone wants something that will make them feel mentally, physically, and spiritually well, right? And you have to find like the goals that get you there, and that's different for everybody. So most of these bad words, quote unquote, came from somebody trying to help other people. They came from a good place. But unfortunately, society changes how words are used, and maybe they can devolve into ugly or damaging words without us even realizing it. I'm sure you can think of other words and phrases like no pain, no gain, go hard, go home. All these hardo things that people love to say in the gym. And, those are fine, I guess. They're kind of silly, but we can't make these things disappear. So we shouldn't try to make them disappear. What we should try to do is get people to think of them in a different light and use them in a more productive way. It's fine to make jokes. I love making jokes. It's silly. It's, I say them sometimes, just kind of laugh about it. But I'm not expecting it to make somebody feel good when I say that. I'm not expecting it to propel you towards your goal. All right. So the next time you hear these words or find yourself using these words or phrases, think about how it makes you feel, and maybe try to think about how you could see someone else feeling it. Try to have some empathy for that person that's struggling and hearing these things that that doesn't work for them, right? Being better for them might just be what you need to be better for yourself. Try it out. Okay, guys, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the video, of course, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell button if you want notifications, and tell your friends about it if you found this helpful. All right, until next time, be well. Thank you.